Welcome back to the Bryan Devore Connection. I'm your host, Bryan Devore. Home care and care management under one roof. That's the ideal formula, and that's what you want to look for, and that's what you will get when you work with Arosa. So here to talk to us today about Arosa is Erin Rees. She is the Area Director. Erin, thank you for coming today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
My pleasure. So, quick overview about Arosa. Where was Arosa started? How was it started?
Yes, quite a long history. So, Live Home started in California, and then another company called Nurse Care of North Carolina started in North Carolina. And they joined up, and our CEO, Ari, his family has spent decades and decades in Arosa, Switzerland. And so there was a bit of a name change just because Arosa became a sanctuary, a safe place, somewhere where his family could grow together and heal and just, become more connected. So then the company overall became Arosa. We are in 30 locations across the country.
Wow.
But it still has that mom and pop feel, which is really exciting. The CEO is super involved. His family is super involved. And that's kind of the story of Arosa.
I love that origin with the name, because that's where we spent a lot of time.
Yeah.
How did you get involved in this line of work?
Yes, so also kind of a long story, but I started out as a caregiver for my grandmother at the age of 20, and I had no idea what I was doing. I was 20, I was thrown in. Originally, it was just to help her turn off the stove, make sure she turns off the hose and doesn't flood the front yard. But about 6 months after I moved in with her, she got sick and she started having signs of dementia. So I kind of built the road as I drove it because I didn't know about services.
You were just a kid.
Yes, like Arosa and other caregiving services, had no idea. So I was her living caregiver for about 6 years. And then I finally figured out there are other services out there. I can hire caregivers from agencies. And I started kind of coordinating her care that way. Overall, I was her caregiver for about 10 years. And then I moved to the East Coast and did low-income elder services, and then moved back to Arizona, where I'm from, and was a consultant at the Alzheimer's Association. And then I went into the private sector as a geriatric care manager, and then home care, and that was a great combination. I loved home care, and I also loved doing care management, so Arosa just felt like the best fit, and that's how I ended up here.
Well, and the reason why I wanted you to share your story was because when you and I met, I loved your breadth of the work you've done with seniors and with their loved ones, and your own personal story, which is sort of symbolic of Arosa. I had an opportunity to meet with some of your staff as well, and I was really impressed by the passion that they clearly have for the work they do.
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about what home care is and then care management and how it works together.
Yes, so home care, often called custodial care, companion care, or non-medical services, or sometimes you'll hear it say non-skilled, even though there's very much skill involved. We help with ADLs and IADLs, so this can be for disabled adults or disabled children even we service, but mostly seniors. So this might be bathing, toileting, dressing, but it can also be companionship and outings and meal prep or brain games to keep them stimulated, engagement. We want to add the spark back in. It's not just about keeping somebody alive and healthy. We want to keep them happy and what matters to them and how do we bring that back into their life. So that is home care. Care management is a really special service that I'm very, very proud of, and I love my care managers. We can do almost anything. It's a wide area of what we can do. Sometimes we are just an advisor to a family, like a right hand. Hey, mom is trying to answer the remote control. What do I do? This looks like dementia. Help me out. Or it can be as involved as a stand-in adult child. So we can coordinate their doctor's appointments, take them to doctors, do their med sets for them. If they're a retired art teacher, find them art classes to go to. Make sure that either their caregiver's doing art with them or maybe the care manager's doing the art with them and keeping them engaged. It can be really just anything. And it really just depends on what the family is needing. Sometimes the families live far away and they need some boots on the ground. Can you run mom's life? Absolutely. but other families are super involved, or they live here and we are just there to support them and provide resources and advice and guidance. Together, it gets kind of magical. So with home care, and you can have either home care or care management, you don't have to have both, which is a distinction. But the benefit of having home care and care management together is that our care managers who are providing that expert level of guidance to families also happen to be overseeing the home care. So the home care clients are getting that expert level of resources being provided, that expert level of oversight. They're doing the holistic care plans. And so that is super helpful. But if a family is, say, they're a home care client only, and then mom has a fall at 2 a.m. and is going to the hospital, but the daughter lives in New Jersey.
Which happens probably a lot.
It happened just the other day.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
What do we do? Well, the care manager already knows mom. They built out her care plan. They visit her often, not in a care management capacity, but just as an oversight for home care. But now they need a care manager to step in. So we're going to the hospital. We have the med list with us. We're coordinating the doctor's appointments. We can just seamlessly step in, and it's not a, oh my gosh, who do we have to help us? It's, we're right there.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously the benefits are clear for having it under one roof. And like you said, you don't necessarily need to have both, but by having both connected, it really provides that extra level of care that people are going to need. You know, you have the boots on the ground and then the oversight.
Yeah.
And especially, a lot of my clients who I work with who are selling their homes, the seniors are selling their homes, but the family doesn't live here, doesn't live nearby. And I can see the challenges that goes through. But I can only imagine, you know, how stressful it would be for an adult child to live in New Jersey, for example, and if they didn't have a care management program in place, gosh, I hope things are okay.
Right.
Versus I know things will be okay.
Yeah, and I think communication is a huge part of that. So whether they're a home care client or a care management client, we are communicating constantly with our families, or power of attorney or fiduciaries, whoever's kind of involved, and just letting them know, like, hey, we've seen a decline. And that doesn't necessarily mean you need to increase home care hours with us. It means maybe an adult day program, or it means maybe family can step in more, or maybe it is home care that you're increasing those hours. But it just takes a village. You know, we say it takes a village to raise a child, but I really think it takes a village to raise a senior, especially if dementia's in play. So as many people as I can have on that bench, family, friends, if they have caregivers with us or with someone else, that's absolutely fine. We have multiple clients who have home care services with someone else but uses us for care management, a care manager if needed, and, you know, volunteers, friends, whoever that is, and just make sure everybody's on the same page for the senior.
Right. And you guys service all of San Diego County here in San Diego.
Yep, all of San Diego County. We have an office in Carlsbad and an office in Mission Valley, but we service the entire county. And
lots of other locations too around the country.
Yes, lots of other locations. The closest ones are Inland Empire and OC, but we're up the California coast, and then we have some on the East Coast and a few sprinkled in the middle.
Got it.
Yeah.
Great. So the information for Arosa is on screen. The website's there. You can check them out. If you're here in San Diego, obviously, you know, Erin is here. Other areas as well. You can see where your needs might be, what locations there are that are available. You can't see it if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast channel, but it's going to be in the caption. Erin, thank you so much for joining me today and educating people about Arosa and about the need for home care and care management combined.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
My pleasure.